knows there's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Livestream. Thank you so much for being here on a cold Sunday afternoon, I have to say. I don't know what, yeah, it's like March 15th. It's cold where a lot of you are, but for me, I live in the South, and that's not normal. The South of the United States. Hello, Europeans. Any Europeans, this is the Europeans, just my Sunday afternoon stream is early for Europeans, for whom it's in the evening. And a lot of them are confused right now because they think the stream is an hour early. That's because we apparently had a time change yesterday. I didn't actually, normally I know this is coming and I mention it. I didn't know it was coming. I'm glad it's here because I do like the longer days, but it is according to me, you can't, it's 1 p.m. according to me, where I am right now. 1 p.m. It is 1 p.m. It is the 13th. Yes, Martin, correct. It is the 13th. So you'll catch up. I think you guys go to summertime slightly later, a couple weeks. And, you know, we'll figure it out. But here we are. Here we are. We're here. Y'all are here. 184 concurrent viewers. Y'all figured it out. Y'all figured it out. Oh, 2 weeks. All right, so it's going to be an hour off next weekend, and then it'll go back to being normal. The only way I knew that a time change had happened was that I looked at my stove and my microwave, and they had the wrong time on them. And I was like, what the F? Oh, it must have been a time change. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. Is he going to do it? Oh. I haven't changed my camera angle. What do you mean I haven't? I don't think I changed my camera angle. I will never change my camera angles. This camera right here, the mount, the adjustable mount, the exact angle that it's at is so... I fear the need to move it, I got to tell you. But anyway. Oh, man. The cold weather is relevant to FPV, too. I'm not just starting the stream by bitching about the weather, as I sometimes do. Oh, so the weather. It's cold. It's cold. It's snowy out there. Like, we got, like, 10 inches of snow. And it was thundering. There was a thunder snowstorm. That's not supposed to... It's not supposed to thunder and snow at the same time, is it? People who live in places where it snows regularly. I'm going to sleep and I'm like, well, I hear it's going to snow. This is looking at my fitness tracker like it's a watch. And then boom, I hear thunder. And I'm like, wait, is it thunder snowing? We got like 10 inches and it was below freezing all day yesterday. Below freezing all day yesterday. And yesterday was the day that I planned to go to the parking garage and test the HDZero 1-watt video transmitter. There's a parking garage that I go to where I do penetration testing in a parking, because you got concrete floors and stuff. There's not a lot of parking garages here in Knoxville. I found one. It's always empty on Saturday, completely empty. And I said, okay, I'll do that, and then I'll publish the video later in the week. And but it was freezing. So, of course, I went out there and did it anyway. Of course I went out there and did it anyway. And I got it done. And now I know. Now I know whether the 1-watt video transmitter from HDZero is as good as it's supposed to be. Now I know. Do you want to see some footage? Do you want to see some footage? I bet you do. Thunder snow happens the same way thunder happens. Yeah, I mean, sure. I'm going to show you some footage. I'm not going to show you the parking garage footage, because that's the footage that actually is the one that I think is the most interesting, and I'm going to save it for the video. Guillermo Nespolo's comment, the penetration testing must be done, has been flagged by YouTube, probably because of the word penetration. I will show you some footage, though. I will show you some footage in just a minute. But first, I gotta... Oh, see, here's the footage. Here is some of the footage. Oh, we'll set that aside for now. First, I got to say thank you to you guys. Here's what's going on. If you're new here, I just want to bring you up to speed. Oh, I know Wesley Vardy's already done some stuff. Oh, who cares about him? That guy. Everybody thinks no. That's fine. If you want to fly long distance, Wesley Vardy is going to tell you what you need to know. That's good. Yeah, I think there's more to it than that. That's just me. If you're new here, first of all, say hello if this is your first live stream. If you your first live stream with me, welcome. I'm very glad that you're here. I'm going to be checking out your chats here. Oh, hang on a second. Oh, there I am. I always forget to turn that on. I'm going to be checking out your chats here. I'm going to be taking your questions for about 2 hours. I'll just be answering questions. That's what I do. And if you want to make sure I get your question, hit this $sign right down here. Hit the $sign right down here. Leave a super chat. I will be. It'll call your question out. It'll make a donation to me, and I will be reading those a little bit later in the stream. Also, big ups to these beautiful people over here. Oh, these are my patrons. This is my Discord server. Discord is a chat server. Chat server? What is this? 2012? Do anybody still do chat servers anymore? Apparently, because there's like 3,000 people on my Discord server. And they all hang out and they answer questions and they talk and they look at all these channels we've got. And I put them on screen. Best $2 a month ever, says Whiteout FPV. It's because you haven't seen my OnlyFans. No, I don't have an OnlyFans. Oh, you guys can join the Discord server if you want to, and you can hang out with these beautiful people during my live stream. But let's give them a second. Give them a second to drop their dank memes and feel special, and then we'll move on. Which LED color do you have in your TX16S? Ask Aircon. Aircon, I have the white ones, but I think I saw your question on YouTube where you asked if I had the white or the blue. I think in the video I'm putting the blue ones in, but then later I didn't like the blue and I put the white ones in. So I can't promise you which one is actually there in the video because I don't quite remember. Sorry about that. I did see your question, but I didn't know the answer. Oh, the good news is it's going to be 70 degrees on Tuesday. So F you winter. I almost flipped a bird on stream. I probably shouldn't do that, but yeah. All right, let's do it. I want to show you guys some footage. What footage will we look at? Is this it? Hello. Can we get this up? Let's see here. This is the HDZero 1 watt video transmitter. I have turned off my Wi-Fi, so there's no Wi-Fi interference. This is the Runcam Micro V2 HDZero camera. Not the Nano, but the Micro. And I want to, hang on, pause it. You guys, hang on. Let's do this. You look me in the eyes. Okay? Are you listening? This is a live stream. It is being broadcast at a low bit rate because I only have so much internet. The video quality that you're about to see is worse than it looks in real life. When I do the actual review, I will upload it in 4K, so you get the closest to reality. So you could kind of judge, what I want to show you this for is so you can kind of start to judge the range of the system by looking for the sparkles. But I want you to know that the image quality that you're seeing, the resolution, it's going to look blocky and smeary and crappy because it's a live stream. Okay? So nobody, I don't want to unfairly represent the system. So here we go. And get some flying. There we go. Now we're flying. Here we go. Yes. I should mute this. There we go. Mute it. There we go. That camera looks pretty good too, I have to say. This is at 1 watt. You can see in the upper right the VLQ, video link quality, and the RSSI. We'll do some flying around. I'm standing on my porch where I always stand. I gotta say, this flying around my house, it's pretty damn good. It's the first time that I've flown around, like, my yard and didn't feel like the system was, like, holding me back. Oh, Dan636, let the criticism begin. I don't want to unfairly represent the system. Stands facing the opposite direction of the flying. Hey, Dan636, do you know why I'm facing the direction I'm facing? So first of all, depending on where I'm flying, I turn my head. Huh? But second of all, I stand facing the direction I'm facing because the barn, I'm doing the fly behind the barn test, and I want the patches facing the barn. I am paying attention to where I'm facing. So, for example, now we're going to fly out this way. I'm still facing the barn. You see the barn right there? That's the most loss. Everything else is relatively open. So here we go. We're going to do this pass through here. This is sort of a standard way that I always get a gut check for video transmitters. And I'm facing this direction so that the patches are facing in this direction. Oh, that was pretty damn good, isn't it? That was pretty damn good. Barely a speckle. Barely a flick. This is pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. By the way, I'm not, like, tearing up freestyle because I mostly just want to, like, I'm not. I just want to fly the thing. I didn't want to crash it and break something and then not be able to. Now, you guys also aren't seeing that this is 60 FPS, of course. Now we're going to fly out to the ridge. And, yeah, although you can't see it, while flying out to the ridge, I turned my head so the patch antennas are now facing this way. As you do. Now let's fast forward a little bit. Pretty damn good. Look at this. We're out here at the ridge. This is not that far. This is 500, 600 meters, something like that. Less than a kilometer. It's not that far. But, yeah, this is completely within line of sight, within visual range of my spotter. In fact, you could see the house. You could see the house. It's like, here I am. Right here, this little dot is the house. Oh, sorry, you can't see the mouse. This little dot right here is the house. Ish. That's where my spotter is. You could absolutely see the quad. As we turn back, we're getting a little breakup, but still, not bad. Excuse me. Bless me. So. And I'm going to keep flying. And again, I turn my head to track. I turn my head to track the drone here as I fly this direction. Sure enough, we're going to fly all the way this way. So, the reason I'm showing you this is that if you want, like, an apples-to-apples range test high up in the sky, like Wesley Vardy does that, I'm not prepared to do that, at least in part because long-distance flying... Oh, no, that was bad. Okay, can't go that low. I'm not prepared to do a proper range test because long-distance flying would be difficult for me to do while not drawing the ire of the FAA. That's just I also just don't do a lot of long-distance flying. But what I can't... So when I test a video transmitter like this, I ask myself, could I use it like I expect to use something like analog? And I think that I can. I think I can. And I think it's definitively better than analog. Now, I will say, I'm showing you the system at its best right now. And I think you're like, oh, yes, I want it. If all you do is fly in areas like this, then this is pretty representative. And I think you could safely draw conclusions. I will say that the results from the parking garage test were a little less... Well, I don't want to spoil it, but I will say, if you're looking for something with range, with the kind of penetration that you would want in like a parking garage or a bando, you should wait to see the final review. You should wait anyway, right? But this is really impressive. Really impressive, honestly. And it's the first time when I have thought that an HDZero system could take over from analog, except for racing, where you don't need a ton of range. You see that break up there? Analog video transmitter does the same thing. We're just kind of going behind the hill. It's hard for you to picture it. Analog video transmitter does the same thing there. This is extremely good. So, full review coming this week. And you guys can get the whole picture. What control link? That was Crossfire. Really good. There's a question in the chat. Jared Gallagher says, wait, So you couldn't see behind the barn on analog? Yeah, I can. On analog, at 25 milliwatts, I can't fly behind the barn. At 200 milliwatts, I just barely make it. And at higher than 200 milliwatts, it's better and better, but completely flyable. That's why because I've been flying that line and my property so long, I have a kind of a gut check ability for that particular line. There's also a question about whether HDZero can do 1080. Well, it's scrolled off the... Here, we'll take this question. HDZero can output 1080 from the HDMI, but it is 720 natively. However, some display devices don't take a 720 signal for whatever reason. So HDZero added the ability to upscale the HDMI output to 1080. Now, technically, the HDZero chip can do 1080p. It has the ability built in. But currently, none of the HDZero systems actually do it because the range would be too short. So, so currently, the HDZero systems that we have are all 720. However, they can output 1080 from the HDMI. Athix. Good point. Any minute now. Athix says, I love the consistent picture of HDZero. I went back to analog and watching all the color changes and popping, HDZero is nice for what it is. Yeah, I completely agree. There are people for whom the HDZero white sparkles are really distracting. And some people feel it's a deal breaker. I think that some of that is just going to be you getting used to it. Like, you got used to... I made the analogy, people look at analog DVR and they say, oh my God, this is the worst. How do you even look at this? And as an FPV pilot, you're just like, whatever, it's just what it looks like. I think that the more time you spend flying HDZero, the less you're going to notice like the white sparkles. Like, think about back when we had diversity analog receivers and there were those white flashes all the time, and you'd see them in the DVR and you'd be like, oh, I don't even see those when I'm flying. I feel like HDZero is going to go that direction. However, the thing about HDZero that I still haven't gotten used to is when you get like a whole screen rainbow and the whole screen goes away. That's like the image is gone. And yeah, you can completely lose image with analog too, but I feel like it's a little harder to completely get rid of image with analog than with HDZero. North 49RC says, my analog DVR looks a lot worse than the actual picture in the goggles. So North 49RC, that is a function of a poorly designed DVR. And that's often true. Most DVR use motion JPEG encoding at like a very low bit rate. And in addition, sometimes the DVR is not as sensitive as the screen. So you'll see breakup in the DVR that wasn't present in the goggles. If you have a quality DVR, such as the one in the Orca FPV goggles, you should see very, very close to what you're seeing in the goggles. But the HDZero DVR, in my opinion, it is effectively identical to what you see in the goggles. I did a side-by-side comparison. I used an HDMI splitter, and I recorded the HDZero DVR with an HDMI capture card. And I recorded it to like, I think it was 25 megabits per second, 720p. Like extremely high bit rate, essentially lossless. And then I also recorded it with a DVR and I compared them side by side, and the DVR is essentially lossless. It's not, but it's very, very close. So the HDZero DVR is very representative of what you see in the goggles. However, when you see a video on YouTube, it has been re-encoded and re-uploaded, and there is some image quality loss. That's why I always upload. I upload almost all of my videos now in 4K, but especially videos like camera tests, I'll upload them in 4K and like 60 megabit per second, like extremely high bit rate, so that YouTube gets the best video it can possibly get, and you hope that that minimizes the difference. However, you got to do your part. When you watch one of these videos, you got to go in and manually make sure you're watching it in 4K. Even if you don't have a 4K screen, that'll give you a higher bitrate and better image quality, and it'll mean that if you're watching a review of the HDZero system and you're watching it in 720p, you're not seeing the true quality because YouTube is hurting the image quality. HDZero is 1280 by 720. That is correct. Okay. It's exciting stuff. Is analog still worth it? Asks Looney 2010. Analog still has its place. So what is the place of analog in a world where HDZero has that going for it? Analog is still substantially cheaper than HDZero. When HDZero first came out, some people hoped that it would have a price advantage compared to DJI. And there is potential for that because HDZero currently is not being mass-produced at a very large scale. And with larger scale of production, prices go down. So we could expect that HDZero's price, we could hope that it would go down in the future, although these days, with chip shortages and so forth, who knows? And inflation and yada, yada, yada. We could hope that there's room for HDZero's price to go down. We don't, but today at least, HDZero is pretty close to the price of a DJI system. $100 for the video transmitter, $50 for the camera, more or less. You're in the range of about, and you might even need to buy a separate antenna, which is another $10. So analog is still going to be the choice of people on a budget. You could get a $20 video transmitter if you really want to save money. You get a $20, $25 camera, and you could be into analog for $50 or $60. HDZero is nowhere close to that. Analog also still has some benefits in terms of size, weight, and as I think you'll see in my review of the 1-watt VTX, there are still some situations where analog will outperform HDZero even when the video transmitters are at about the same output power. But I don't want to spoil the video too much. I think that the HDZero, I think that the 200 milliwatt race VTX from HDZero marked the beginning of the end of analog for racing, which is not to say that 100% of racers are going to switch to HDZero, but it was the first time when a racer could choose HDZero over analog and essentially have no compromises in terms of the performance of the system. The cost is higher, but for a racer who's willing to bear the cost, they had no compromises going to HDZero, only benefits and increased cost. The 1-watt VTX is going to expand that for people who are park flyers and for long distance. For long distance, the 1-watt VTX is going to mean if you don't want to use analog, you can really get out there 20, 30 kilometers, I think is what Wesley Vardy did. But I am not convinced yet that the 1-watt VTX is going to completely replace analog in all environments. And for more on that, you'll have to watch my review, because I don't want to just totally give away the results of the review. Plus, I say I don't want to give away the results of the review. I don't want you to feel like I'm just like fish hooking you, catfishing, whatever the term is. I want you to see. I don't want you to just take my word for it and go, Bardwell said X. Because I know a lot of you are going to disagree with me, as you do. I want you to watch the video and form your own conclusion, and I'll tell you my conclusion. But so I don't want to just spoil it for you and have you walk away and not watch the video. Okay. So, when will the review come out? I started editing it today. Sadly, I was not able to send it to Fabio because last night there was a missile attack close to the city that he was in. He went from Kiev to Lviv and hoped that being close to the Polish border would spare them some of the danger. But no, there was a missile attack outside Lviv last night, and he said we have to take some steps. So he is once again, unfortunately, unable to edit for me, but thankfully safe. Obviously, that's the priority. But unfortunately, I will have to edit it. And I say unfortunately, not because I don't want to edit, although just because I would rather his life be normal. I would rather all Ukrainians' life be normal, but especially his, as he's a friend of mine and a person I know. So I am editing it, and prayers for him, and it'll hopefully be out this week. I think it'll be out this week. It's my top priority right now, because obviously I want to get that out. All right. Let's get some super chats out of the way. We got some super chats popping up. Edward, thank you for €2. Are radios on Banggood genuine? I want a Zorro. Yes, radios. The stuff on Banggood is generally not. It's almost never like a counterfeit product. Now the customer service is iffy. If you get a bad product, you're gonna struggle. But the product you're buying, like the number one thing Banggood does that pisses me off is they'll show a product is in stock when it's not in stock. I can't prove that they do this, but I've heard so many stories of people trying to buy a product from Banggood that shows in stock, and then when they order it, suddenly it's back ordered. And I can't prove that it didn't just randomly sell out right at the moment that you hit. But I've heard this story so many times. I think it seems like Banggood marks things as in stock that are not in stock and takes orders and that they can't fill and then just holds the orders. And then you have to argue with them. You have to wait 3 months to get your product or argue with it. Because you're like, this thing is out of stock everywhere. Oh, Banggood has it. I guess I'll order from them. And then they don't have it either. And now, when it finally comes back in stock, they've got your money. The products, though, are genuinely genuine. Are generally genuine. It's just the customer service and fulfillment is kind of crappy. McConnell Studios, thank you for $5 in the super chat. What's the most common reason for doubled startup tones? So, McConnell, what you're hearing is not doubled startup tones. What you're hearing is that the startup tones are out of sync. So on any quadcopter, you've got 4 ESCs. All 4 of the ESCs separately go do-do-doot, do-doot. However, since they are usually completely synced up, you only hear one set of startup tones. But if one of the ESCs is slightly out of sync with the other, you'll hear do-do-doot, do-do-doot, do-doot, do-doot. And you're just hearing one or more ESCs being slightly out of sync. The most common reason for that to happen is if you enable bidirectional D-Shot, which you totally should, because RPM filtering is awesome. If you enable bidirectional D-Shot, the ESC is more conservative in the checks that it does. When it first starts up, it checks the incoming signal to make sure that it's like not garbage. And it's not going to like spin the motors when it's not supposed to. And when you have bidirectional D-Shot enabled, that check takes a little bit longer to finish, and the ESCs are slightly more likely to be out of sync. The other thing is that sometimes if you have a little bit of a noisy signal, like if you're running D-Shot 600, you might want to go down to 300. And if you have a little bit of noise in your system, it can cause them to be out of sync. That's the most common reason. A. Bouchard, thank you for a $5 super chat. I smoked a motor yesterday upon arming. Ouch. I flashed 4.3 RC3 and experimental crossfire 150 hertz. Could that be why? I'm skeptical, A. Bouchard. I'm skeptical that that caused your smoked motor. Not that it's impossible, but here, let's think about some things that you said. So first of all, Betaflight 4.3 RC3 has been out for a while. It's been on RC for a long time. There are a couple of known bugs, like there's a bug with SPI-based Express LRS receivers. There are a few outstanding issues that the devs know are out there, but other than that, Betaflight 4.3 is very, very solid. So the chance that there's some weird bug out there that causes smoked motors, extremely unlikely. Number two, you said it smoked upon arming. If there was a bug in Betaflight that could smoke motors, it would be the kind of thing where in flight, Betaflight is too active with the motor output and it causes hot motors and you smoke them. A smoked motor immediately upon arming, my opinion, it's almost always going to be a problem with the ESC, not the flight controller. So, I think you had a bad ESC that was ready to go, like one of the FETs was just on the edge. I don't think it had anything to do with you flashing Betaflight 4.3, but of course, we can't be 100% sure about that. Aber the Ham's got a question. Thank you for a $5 super chat, Aber. The question is too long, so he's going to put it in the Discord. All right, Aber. Aber, very generous. Where is, here we go. Aber is a patron. He's in the Discord, and he's super chatting me. Thank you so much for your generosity, Aber. Why are gyros on top of flight controllers? Seems like putting them on the bottom would make them less susceptible to damage. I can tell you the answer to that, Aber. Putting them on the bottom puts them closer to the ESC. The ESC generates electrical noise from the FETs and so forth, and the closer the gyro is to that, the more likelihood there is of interference. I've actually heard stories of people flipping their flight controller over for whatever reason and getting things like twitching from the gyro. Some people will actually put a grounded sheet, like Diatone makes these little sheets that go on top of your ESC to help limit the electrical interference from getting to the flight controller. The flight controller has inside its circuit board, inside the PCB, the flight controller has a ground plane, which is a grounded piece of copper that's used to carry the electricity back to ground. And that ground plane acts as shielding for the gyro, and that's why they're mounted on top, generally, in my opinion. Would coating them with epoxy be beneficial from a durability standpoint? It's possible. It wouldn't affect how they work. It's possible it would increase the durability. I don't know. That's really hard to say. I think that, honestly, how do gyro chips get damaged? Let's think that through. So a gyro is what's called a MEMS device, micro electromechanical system. A MEMS device, which means that unlike something like a transistor, which has no mechanical components whatsoever, a transistor is purely electrical. A gyro is created, it's manufactured using similar like lithography techniques to the way that transistors are created. But it actually has microscopic mechanical components, and that's how it measures rotation. Chris Rosser has a video out about gyros that goes into more depth if you want to know about that, as usual. So, yes, correct, John Goblin, as opposed to a solid-state device, which has no mechanical components. So the reason that's significant is that a gyro can be damaged by being shocked, because the tiny little mechanical components that wiggle to measure the rotation, if you shock them too hard, 20 Gs, 50 Gs, there's a maximum G rating. And so gyros can, even if you were to pot that gyro in epoxy, the gyro could be damaged internally from excessive shock. The other way that gyros die is that the solder traces, the solder that connects the gyro chip to the circuit board, can be cracked or damaged. And that, of course, the circuit board flexes. We crash our quads into the ground, and then eventually one of the solder traces. And some people will reflow their gyro if they have a hot air station, or some people even put their gyro into the home oven and heat it up and flow the solder. And sometimes that works. So I'm skeptical that potting and epoxy would fix those issues, because is the epoxy going to stick to the circuit board so much that it resists the flex and vibration in a crash? I don't know, maybe. But the internal damage is just going to be what it is, and there's really nothing you could do about that. So the battery strap contacting the top of the stack may have an issue if it transmits vibration to the flight controller, although battery straps don't seem rigid enough to transmit a lot of vibration. I don't think it's damaging them, though. That's what I would say. Good question, neighbor. Thank you for asking it. Steven Swift, thank you for a $10 super chat. I have gone through 2 Cricket flight controllers. Seems to be a power spike, but I have a 35 volt, 1000 microfarad capacitor on it, but I'm down 2 of them. So Steven Swift, what I would suggest you do is look up the FETTech spike absorber. It is a component called a TVS diode, and it specifically is designed to stop voltage spikes. A capacitor plus a spike absorber is some of the best protection you can get. At the end of the day, stuff might still die, but if capacitors aren't protecting your flight controllers, then consider adding a TVS diode. And don't just go to like DigiKey or Mauser and buy a TVS diode, because the specs, you'll probably buy one with the wrong specs, and I don't know enough about the specs to tell you the right one to get. Just go buy a FETTech spike absorber, and that's what you want. Narcoleptic LTD, thank you for a $10 super chat. Big fan, and I love your work. I'd like to purchase your OnlyFans set. Oh, no. Thank you for the donation. Mike Crabtree, thank you for a $5 super chat. Mike, you are correct. I did say I would give you back your moderator status. I forgot that I said that, and we've had a couple of chats. Where are you, Mike? Crabtree F2. Mike Crabtree. There you go, buddy. Thank you for the reminder, and thanks for the super chat. PDFPV, thanks for a $2 super chat. I need board and sensor alignment settings for the Recon 4 FR. I mean, it's usually default, right? Usually it's just default, 0 degrees. Not always. Why does that not work if you just reset the flight controller? All right. Why is it not popping up? Hello? This flight controller has had an issue. Can we pop up on USB? Finally, after years of sitting on my desk, being my demo flight controller, this little iFlight flight controller is starting to act weird. I did flash Betaflight 4.3 to it. Maybe it's messed up. What we're talking about here is in the configuration tab, we've got these settings, and you're looking for the gyro alignment, right? I don't know. I mean, generally, if you flash the flight controller, then it will come with the correct alignment in the flash. I assume that would be true, but you wouldn't be asking the question if that was true. If that wasn't, if it was that simple. So I'm not really sure. Does anybody know the board and sensor alignment settings for the Recon 4 FR? I do not. 907 FPV, thanks for a $2 super chat. Are Betaflight 4.3 tunes safe and stable to use? Well, that depends, 907. The safe tune is the default tune. If a more aggressive tune was safe for everyone, it would be the default. Because the more aggressive tunes fly better for most people, but they're more likely to cause problems for some people. So anytime you're dealing with a high performance tune, you have to acknowledge that you are trying to trade stability and widespread applicability for performance. So if you're going to try out like the Sugar K tune or the Karate tune on Betaflight 4.3, you need to understand that there's a risk that your quad will fly worse or maybe smoke a motor or have a gyro problem. Now, it probably won't because probably your quad isn't going to be one of the ones that has a big problem, but it's possible. Thomas and Stella Gallinou, thank you for €5. What are the best, fastest motors? Luminaire Chief V2, Hyperlight 2207.5, X-Nova 22.7, or something else? He says 2000 kV 6S. You know, I just did a video about comparing motor sizes. Let's compare these motors. Since it's a super chat. Luminaire Chief motor. Luminaire Chief motor V2. Let's get the specs for this motor. It's a 2207 2050 kV. Philip FPV, did I miss your super chat? I don't know why I don't like you, man. Philip FPV, I have not missed your super chat. I just haven't gotten to it. I don't see a super chat from you, Phil. Sorry, man. Thank you for your $2 super chat. Sorry, I'll get back to that question about the motors in a second. I just didn't want to... I hate it when I miss super... I do miss super chats sometimes. Phil, I just want to... look with me. I do not see a super chat from you, my friend. I don't see a super chat from you except this one. I mean, you can see it with me. So maybe I'm not missing your super chats. Maybe your super chats aren't going through. This one went through, though. Thank you, Philip FPV, for a $2 super chat, telling me that I missed a super chat. So we got the Luminaire Chief motor. The other one that Thomas is looking at is the Hyperlight 2207.5. Is it the E series? Is that what you're looking at? It's 2222 kV, but they've also got a 1922. Doesn't really matter. This is going to be the same specs. The X-Nova 2207. Why aren't you considering the 533 motors if you're looking at 2207 racing motors? I'm curious why you're not looking. And I think X-Nova manufactures them. Why are you not looking at them? They're very good motors. And okay, so all of these motors are 2207 in size, except the Hyperlight, which is 2207.5, slightly larger. So they all are going to deliver similar performance on the bench, in the air. The reason I say that is that in most ways that affect thrust output, modern mini quad motors are built the same. So they all have the same sort of laminations in the stator. They all use N54 magnets. They all are built basically the same in the ways that directly affect their ability to make power. So I think that probably these motors are not going to differentiate themselves in terms of their power. Now, one is 2050 kV, one is 1922 kV. That's something you'll notice in the air. A 100 kV difference, you might notice. The higher kV motor is going to make more RPMs, especially at high throttle, you'll notice that. Right? And it's going to draw more current. So the kV is going to be different. X-Nova is either 1900 or 2500. Okay? So if you're looking for the fastest motors, I think you're going to be probably leaning towards the Luminaire Chief because it's available in 2050 kV. And that higher kV is going to make more RPM and more speed. Probably. How else do these motors stack up? None of these motors appear to be a unibell. All of them are a two-piece bell. A unibell would be an upgrade. 7075 steel. That's desirable. It's going to be more durable with 7075 steel. Or aluminum. I'm sorry. Aluminum. The Luminaire motor, I'm going to bet, is not 7075. Luminaire seems to think that 70... Oh, it is! I take it back. A lot of Luminaire motors are not 7075. 28 grams. That's impressive. Let's look at the weight. 28 grams for the Chief. 30 grams for the Hyperlight. X-Nova. Can I get any information about the motor other than that? No? Oh, here we go. Weight 34 grams. Wow. Okay, so the X-Nova is a chonker. I have no idea why it's that heavy. I kind of wonder if that number is wrong. Okay, so I would pass on the X-Nova based on the weight. I mean, who knows why? Maybe they're like super durable because they have extra metal in the bell. But just without a justification for that weight, I would pass on the X-Nova. The Hyperlight has NMB bearings. I think that's the same for the Chief. Those are okay bearings. No, they don't say. An NSK bearing would be better, but not bad. These guys are pretty comparable. We're going to start looking at things like the bell design. We got a hollow titanium shaft. Stainless steel shaft. We got a titanium shaft on the Luminaire. Yes, Luminaire. So the Luminaire has a titanium shaft. It takes the lead based on the titanium shaft. And the lighter weight. $24 versus $16 though. Yikes. So you didn't mention price as a concern. So price no object. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Why are you sleeping on Zing? Why are you sleeping on Zing? Oh, that's not a racing motor. There's no such thing as a racing motor. There's just a motor. 2207. 1855 kV. Okay, that's actually a little bit low kV for racing. I take it back. There is such a thing as a racing motor. A lot of racers would like a higher kV, like 2000. This is such a good motor. Unibell, titanium shaft, 7075 aluminum. I know I'm beating a drum here. I know. So 32 grams of weight is a little heavy. Racers might prefer lighter weight. And then also, like, this is probably the most popular racing motor today. 533, 2207. Oh, it's out of stock. Screw you. 1960 kV, $23. 28 grams in weight. Great. You know, that's certainly worth a consideration. Say Yay points out that the Hyperlight is an E-Series motor. That's their economy one. The Hyperlight Team Edition. There's the Team Edition. $21. This one's going to have the titanium shaft. Okay. Ah, yeah. Okay, great. Fair enough. So of the three motors you listed, and price being no object, I would take the Chief for the reasons I outlined. Thank you for the opportunity to do that cool breakdown. Hitman, POW MIA, thank you for a £2 super chat. How are you getting along with your Whoop 4.0? Yeah, it's pretty good. I like the sleep tracking. more than the fitness tracking. That's just me. Drone Hater FPV, I do think X-Nova makes the 533 motors. Miroslav Jankovic, thank you for... Oh, I lost you. Thank you for 50, I think Hungarian florin. HRK. Hello, Joshua. What do you think about the Z's 20x20 stack? I am planning to run it on 5-inch build, 4 and 6 bis build around 650 grams. So I have had 2 Z's stacks in 2 different quads, and both of them died on me in ways that I don't remember the specifics of how they died, but both of them died on me in ways that made me go, huh, I didn't like that. I would personally hesitate to put a 20 millimeter stack in a 5-inch 650 gram build. I know that some people do like 20 millimeter for 5-inch. I think I think the ESCs are too likely to die. That's my opinion. So I have not had a great experience with Z's. One of them was a stack, and one was the other one an all-in-one? I'm not actually sure. I haven't had a great experience with Z's. Now, that's just a sample size of 2. It's just a sample size of 2. Z's has sold a lot of flight controllers. I can't say whether there's a wider issue. I can just speak from my experience. I know that Z's manufactures the FPV cycle flight controller, and Bob Ruge has incredibly high standards. If Z's is able to maintain a manufacturing contract with Bob Ruge, then they're probably one of the best. But John Goblin, thank you for the information. Going back to the super chat from PDFPV. PDFPV, John Goblin says that gyro 90 degrees clockwise should be correct. Good job, John Goblin. Thank you so much for that. Mike Bergman, 2 out of how many? 2 out of 2, Mike. 2 out of 2. I've had 2 Z's flight controllers. Both of them died prematurely in a way that I thought didn't reflect well on them. Speedy Turtle FPV, I show 472 concurrent viewers, not 60. Personally. So, I mean, Miroslav, you asked my opinion. I'll give it to you. There it is. I wouldn't use a 20x20 stack on a 5-inch 650 gram build at all. But if I did pick one, I would look at the stacks that the racers are using, because racers often use 20 millimeter stacks and they beat the hell out of things. And so something like the Foxeer Raptor ESC seems to have pretty good durability, at least among the racers. The Redux Air ESC, also very good. Yeah. Joey Whitaker, thanks for a $5 super chat. We're going to keep clearing out super chats, and we'll go back to answering questions elsewhere. Thank you, Joey Whitaker, for a $5 super chat. Philip FPV, got you there. Sorry about your super chat, Philip. I didn't go through. Mike Bergman, thank you for a $5 super chat. Happy Sunday, you beautiful SOB. Weren't there people from this chat who had the Z's V1 die on them? I don't know about that. Is that true? RGMG, thank you for a $10 super chat. I got a brand new iFlight Nazgul Evoke, and I want to upgrade from Betaflight 4.2 to 4.3. What's your level of confidence if I migrated just using the 4.2 to 4.3 migrator tool? Here's the thing I would say. RGMG. Back up that configuration. Do a CLI dump before you flash. And then, if anything goes wrong, you will easily be able to restore the configuration and go back. Okay? I mean, I've migrated many quads to 4.3 by now, and I just use the default PIDs. I copy over my aux modes, my ports tab, and my rates, and basically, I set up the motors. And, basically works every time. I have no reason that the nozzle would be any different. So, yeah, just do a CLI dump, save it out. If you have to go back to 4.2, then you'll be able to restore your configuration. But, on the other hand, the Evoke flies very well on 4.2. So the question is, why are you going to 4.3? What is 4.3 going to give you that you don't already have on 4.2? And I'm not trying to discourage you. You may just want to play with 4.3. But I think sometimes there's a tendency to try to upgrade to the latest and greatest for no good reason, and you end up screwing up a good flying quad, and now instead of having fun flying, you're screwing with your quad, and that's not the best. Clark wants to know, what's the best sub 250 HD freestyle setup? Is it still 3.5 inch, or would a 250 be better? Clark, is the 250 under 250 grams with a GoPro on it? I don't think it is. If you need to carry a GoPro, I think you need to be in the 3.5 inch category, or maybe 3 inch. Even with a naked GoPro 6. Somebody back me up here. My recollection is the 250 is just barely under 250 grams without a GoPro. I could be wrong about that. That's what because I remember Tommy had to spec a custom battery to get it under 250 grams. I can't remember if that was with or without the GoPro, but I think it was without. Mike Crabtree, not everybody has the luxury of ignoring a 250 gram limit. Kenny Kobe says the 250 is 250 grams with an Insta360 Go 2. Well, if it can carry an Insta360 Go 2, it can carry a naked GoPro 2, I would think. Philip FPV, thank you for a $5 super chat. Shows the receipt for 2 super chats. Wonder why you didn't get the first one. I don't know about that, Phil. Pros and cons of the DJI Control Link versus Express LRS. Good question, Philip FPV. Pros and cons of Express LRS versus DJI Control Link. The main advantage of using the DJI controller is that you don't need a separate receiver on the quad. It just uses the DJI air unit, right? And the range of the link is as good or better than the range of the video link. So this idea that like Crossfire can go 80 kilometers or whatever. Well, doesn't matter if you lose video. DJI can go 13 kilometers and that's it. DJI video link cuts out at right around 13 kilometers. No matter what antennas you use, no matter how much output power you have, 13 kilometers, it stops. So as long as the controller can go 13 kilometers, and it can, that's all you need. So, and the other advantage of the DJI controller is that it's set up. The switches work. They're mapped to aux channels. There's basically nothing you have to do to set up the DJI controller. The disadvantage of the DJI controller is it's not programmable at all. So any more sophisticated stuff you wanted to do, you can't do it. And it only has 8 channels. So if you want more than 4 aux channels, too bad for anything. And it only works with the DJI controller, the DJI receivers. So if you wanted to do an airplane with servos, not going to be easy. You would need an S-bus to PWM converter, which has its own issues. So it lacks versatility. It's simple, it's effective, but it lacks versatility. DJI doesn't have telemetry. Yeah. Those are the pros and cons. What do you think about waterproofing quads with nail polish? Asks Jekli. Thank you for €5. Man, we got a lot of super chats. I've been reading super chats for like 20 minutes. Thank you guys for your generosity. What do you think about waterproofing quads with nail polish? It's okay. Clear nail polish is just acrylic. There is a form of acrylic conformal coating. Silicone conformal coating, which is what's usually recommended, is more flexible and less likely to crack and flake off. Think about Think about nail polish that's cracking and flaking off the nails as they sort of flex. There are a lot of places where people can't get silicon conformal coating for whatever reason, and in that case, clear nail polish is not the worst choice if you can get it, but it's not the best because as the quad vibrates, it'll chip and flake off, and you'll lose protection. Penguins Can Fly, thank you for a €5 super chat. I just flashed Betaflight 4.3 to a new 3-inch build. There is no presets tab. What did I do wrong? Why do you not have a presets tab? Also, where did the virtual flight controller go away? I guess it did. Guess they got rid of that. That's a shame. I kind of like that. Let me plug in a real flight controller. There's no presets tab. If we disable expert mode, no. Presets tab should be there as long as you have... I mean, even with 429, I have the presets tab. I can't think of what would make the presets tab go away. I can't think of anything. Did you not update the configurator? Are you on configurator 10.8? If you're not on configurator on 10.8, then that would explain it. So you need to make sure you're on configurator 10.8.0, and you specifically want to look up here in the upper left. Wait, wrong window, sorry. You specifically want to look up here in the upper left. You need to see that, sorry, 10.8.0, and then this build number. This is RC3, which is currently the latest. 34008-7A4. If you don't have this version number of configurator, go download the configurator RC3. Ooh, thank you for pointing that out in the chat. Enable virtual connection mode. Yes, that's what I want. Huh. Nice. Yay, I can play with virtual mode again. Penguins Can Fly. I think you don't have the latest configurator. Cohiba Matt, thank you for a $5 super chat. My quad loses the OSD. I can reflash Betaflight and it comes back. If I put the diff all back in, the OSD disappears again. Well, there's something in your CLI dump that is breaking the OSD. Stop pasting the CLI dump in. I mean, I don't know what... There's many things in there that could be messing it up, and there's no way for me to predict what it is. But don't paste the CLI dump back in. Or selectively paste the CLI dump back in so that you can find which part of it is causing the OSD to disappear. That's what I would say. Miguel T, thank you for a $5 super chat. Did you ever try the 21mm FPV cycle motor on the 250 or similar? Yes, I did. I tried them, but I don't find any improvement over 2004 motors. I mean, Miguel, if you don't notice the improvement, I mean, obviously, a 2104 motor, which is about 10% bigger than a 2004 motor, is going to be able to make more torque. If you're not noticing a difference, it may be related to, you may not have it tuned to the point where that responsiveness is noticeable, or you may not be flying it hard to the point where you would notice the difference. But the bottom line is that if you don't see a difference, then you didn't need that extra torque. You didn't need that extra responsiveness for the way that you fly the quad. Yeah. Not everybody's going to notice that difference. The difference is there, but not everybody's going to notice it. Shun Smith, thank you for a $10 super chat. No question, just a $10 super chat. Super appreciate it. Envy of the Birds, thanks for a $5 super chat. Asking about Fabio. I actually don't have an update on his status, but as far as I know, he is okay and he is taking care of his business. I don't want to dive into too many details while things are in flux. But currently he is okay, as far as I know. He said, having seen what happened in Kiev, that people who are still in Kiev are currently basically stranded, without supplies, without electricity, in the cold. He said that the rocket attack last night was close enough that they were like, time to not be here anymore. So they're taking care of their situation. And I will give you guys an update whenever they land, wherever they land next. But appreciate your concern. You say anything we can do to help. I don't know if he has put out any direct call. I'm sure that he would say that if you care about Fabio, here's what I would say. If you care about background for those who don't know, there's a guy I have worked with for the last 3+ years who has been my editor, and he does 90% of the editing on most of my videos. He's a good guy, and frankly, I couldn't make the channel without him. I mean, I would do my best, but my goodness, it hurts a lot, and really sort of, he's just integral to my channel. And he lives in Ukraine. He's an Italian citizen, but he lives in Ukraine. His wife is Ukrainian, and they lived in Kiev until a few weeks ago, when they left Kiev shortly before the attack started, and they moved to the west of the city, to Lviv, in hopes that whatever happened would be in hopes that nothing would happen, but then in hopes, when things started happening, in hopes that there would be limited in scope and short in duration, and that has not turned out to be true. And now they are dealing with the attacks getting closer to Lviv. So when you say, is there anything we can do to help Fabio? I'm sure that he would say that he would like you to take whatever help you would give to him personally and find ways to support the Ukrainian people through whatever means that you think is best, whether that's donating to charity or something else. I'm sure that he would say that. He is, well, anyway, I'm sure that's what he would say. So, and I would echo that. I don't go out of my way to make, this is not really a drone related topic, and I try and keep my channel focused on drones and not focused on bad things that are happening in the world, because let's face it, there's always bad things happening in many places in the world, and there's plenty of time and attention for us to focus on those things. And then sometimes you just want to watch a live stream about FPV or fly your quad, and that's okay too, if you have the luxury of doing that. Because of course, for the people in Ukraine right now, many of them don't have the luxury of flying their quads or whatever it is that they do for a hobby. But anyway, I try and keep that stuff off my channel because for that reason. But knowing someone who is personally affected sort of changes it a little bit, and you guys know someone who is personally affected through me. So if you care, and if that's something you want to do, more power to you. Okay. Mike Crabtree says, send my super chat cash to him. I do. I pay him to be my editor. And I still pay him lately, although his ability to edit has unfortunately he's been doing his best, but obviously there's been some disruptions. And I said, don't worry about it. Just, be safe and take care of yourself. So yeah, I am in fact sending your super chat cash directly to him, and more on top of that, and we'll continue to do that. Anyway, there we go. Crabtree FPV, thanks for a $7 super chat. Glad to be blue again. Robert Petrosky, thanks for a $5 super chat. How do I delete a model in the old Tango remote? Robert, I am sorry. I have never owned a Tango V1, and I don't know how to delete a model on it. I appreciate your donation. If anybody in the chat can tell him how to delete a model in the old Tango 1, I will pass that on. But I don't know the answer to that. Cycling Mikey, thanks for a £5 super chat. And Four Eyes FPV, thanks for a $5 super chat. Yay, the time change means longer evenings. I'm happy about that too. We are caught up on super chats! Yay! Oh. Just me? Let's go back to the regular chats. Dr. Cheese in the Discord wants to know. Dagnammit. Dagnammit. Mads Tech says, I need an editor, and maybe a new presenter would help. Mads Tech, you're a great presenter, man. I tell you, I struggled for a while. There's Dr. Cheese. I'll get your question in a second, Dr. Cheese. I struggled for a while. I didn't want to hire an editor. So for many years, my day consisted of answering questions, then editing and publishing a video, and then shooting tomorrow's video. Sometimes not in that order, but and I was able to put out 4 to 6 videos a week. Now, to be fair, they were a lot simpler videos than the videos I do today. So the editing might be 2 hours to 3 hours of editing for the whole video to produce a 10 or 12 minute video. Whereas today, it might take me, for some videos, it might take me, 2 days to shoot it, and it might take 8 or 10 hours to edit it, So it was a little bit different time, but I said, I don't know why I should hire somebody when I'm keeping up. Like, what would I do with that time, to better the channel? And having hired somebody to do it, just the mental load of being able to focus on making the videos and not focus on editing them is like, it's just more energy to think about what videos I want to make and to focus on making better videos and to not have to edit them is massive. Is massive. So, okay, let's get this question from Dr. Cheese. Can I wire up my Vista full function and Crossfire Nano without issue? Yes. Trying to swap to TX16, but I want the option of using my DJI radio as backup. Okay, so what you would do, Dr. Cheese, is you would wire the Vista S-Bus output to one UART and the Crossfire to a different UART, and then in the ports tab, you would switch between them. You cannot just use both at the same time. You would need to go into Betaflight and switch the serial RX in the ports tab. But other than that, yeah, you can do it. MFR FPV wants to know. Excuse me, apologies. Any more Kiss Ultra content coming soon? I've been thinking about, oh no, I'm sorry. Any more Kiss Ultra availability coming soon? I don't know about that either. That's a different question. Wasn't there a big batch of Kiss Ultras at the end of February? The best place to find out when Kiss Ultras are coming is to join the Kiss Ultra Discord server. And Alex talks about it over there. This is a struggle. It's a struggle because he is just not in... He just does not seem to feel pressure to satisfy the demand for Kiss Ultras. Now, on some level, I can imagine why he feels that way. So, for example, sourcing components is difficult. So, like sourcing gyro chips, sourcing MCUs for your flight controller, okay? So let's say that you had sourced 15,000 gyro chips, okay, at some price. And let's say that right now there are 15,000 people who want to buy your flight controller. Is the best thing for you to do to make 15,000 flight controllers, sell them all in a week, and then have no gyro chips? And then for 6 months, nobody can buy a flight controller? Or is the right thing to do to make 3,000 flight controllers, sell them all in 2 days, and then a month later have another batch of 3,000, and a month later have another batch of 3,000, and kind of dole them out? I don't know. I don't make flight controllers for a business, but I can imagine that small batches that keep the demand for your product alive and that continue to satisfy some of that demand without this big, long stretch of dry spell, I could see that being the right decision. So, but when you ask Alex about, like, when people, like, I said to Alex, I basically said, is there anything I could do? Are you interested? Is there anything I could do to help you manufacture them faster? And like, he was like, nah, I got it. You know, and I can think of a lot of reasons why somebody would not want me as a business partner. So I don't blame him. But he didn't say, I'm not really interested in having you as a business partner. He said, I'm a hobbyist. I'm not treating this like a business. He said, I'd rather have 2,000 users on my Discord who I take good care of than 20,000 people, you know, who have my flight controller and I can't really take care of them. And it's like, oh, okay, but I don't think that's an either or. I think that, like, I respect everyone has the right to have their own attitude towards their own business. And if he wants to run a small business that he is the only primary person and he is the cap on how big the business can be, his personal ability to answer emails and support his users, that's okay. No one is obligated to grow their business and grow their user base. If you're happy and you're paying your rent, that's all that matters in life. More power to him. But as a user of the product, I think that's something that's you would like to know. Because you say, when is more Kiss Ultra going to come? I need one for my quads. Well, you know, he doesn't seem to feel particularly obligated to satisfy that. He'll make them when he wants to make them. And he'll sell however many he wants to sell. And if you get one, he'll take good care of you. And if you don't get one, good luck next time. And a lot of people don't want to be in that relationship with their manufacturer of hardware. Like, look at Bob Ruge. Look at Bob Ruge. And when his 25 millimeter motors, there was a long period where he didn't have any motors to sell. And he had all his money tied up in making motors. What was his attitude during that period? He was on Facebook and he was like, guys, I know, the motors are coming. I'm going to get them. It's a huge batch. I took all my money and I sunk it into these motors. And then the first batch of 25 millimeter motors had a problem and he lost money. And I don't know how much of the details of that are public and how much I know because I talk to people. So I'm not going to share details, but he lost money on that. In a way that he shouldn't have, because the manufacturer screwed up. And then one thing and another, things didn't get made right. But think about his attitude, how much he cares about his customers. And he wants that, you know, he really wants to get his products out there. And he doesn't, you know, that's somebody who I want on my team. I want, if you're out of motors, because stuff is hard to get, at least I know you care and you're like, I'm going to get you, buddy. I'm going to take care of you. I like that attitude. Anyway. And I don't get that attitude from Alex. Alex, it's like, I'm doing my thing over here, making the best I can. Feels more like a hobby art project. Okay. So Abraham and Blunty, I think that Alex rewrote a lot of the KISS code base. I've heard the number that he rewrote like 80% of it. That technically the Ultra code is still based on the old KISS v2 at its roots, but that it is almost a total rewrite, but not a from scratch rewrite. Yeah. Down the road, do you think HDZero will have a sharper image? Asks Verity. I don't. From a conversation I had with Carl, there are things HDZero can do. So I'm gonna split a very fine hair. The ability of the HDZero video transmitter to send pixels is not going to fundamentally change. However, there is pre-processing and post-processing that can be done to increase the detail of the image that you see in your goggles. So remember when DJI went from 25 megabit per second to 50 megabit per second? They just like doubled the bit rate of the channel. And as a result, you just got more information through the channel. Okay? I have heard no indication that HDZero like has that in their back pocket. But HDZero has talked about how they do like sharpening. Before they transmit the image, they'll do a low pass to soften the image and reduce the amount of information they have to transmit. And then after it comes out the video receiver, they'll do some sharpening on it to try to get some of that information back. And of course, that's a fine balance to strike. And he's talked about there may be ways to tune that algorithm to give a sharper image in the goggles. But it doesn't seem like you're going to get a fundamental like 25 to 50 megabit per second change. License to Drive says artificial sharpening of the video doesn't look good. I agree, License to Drive. But here's what I think they're trying to do. If you know exactly how you softened the image, then in theory, you could apply the sharpening in a smarter way. That doesn't, I don't know. Athix FPV says if HDZero would bond channels to make a bigger channel, then they could do it. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess anything's possible. I've never heard in any of the conversations with Carl him mention channel bonding as a possibility. And it's a fairly obvious idea. So my gut reaction would be that if it was plausible, he would already have thought of it. However, maybe it is plausible, and you know, there's a reason he just hasn't done it. Okay. Jirai Takanashi, what are you looking for, man? Oh, I see. You're talking about twisting wires. Okay, let's go back. Let's get some more super chats. More super chats. You guys have been incredibly generous with the super chats. Thank you for your generosity. Dofux, thank you for €2. Just want to say thank you and keep it up. Thank you, Dofux. Ben Markham, thanks for a $5 super chat. I flashed to Betaflight 4.3 and the Crossfire LQ value is different compared to 4.2. Anything I'm doing wrong? Ben, that is going to depend on how you're getting LQ. Are you getting LQ with an aux channel, Ben? Or are you getting LQ reading it directly from telemetry? If you're getting LQ via aux channel, then I don't see any reason why the LQ should read differently, because the LQ is being generated by the receiver. If you're getting LQ from telemetry, I still don't see any reason why it would be different, because you're getting it directly from telemetry. So I question that result and wonder if there's something else going on that's throwing you off your perception. Because I'd like to know more about that. I will say this, Ben. I can't think of any reason why LQ would change between 4.2 and 4.3. John Boom, thanks for a 10 euros super chat. Going back to the question from Jirai Takanashi in the Discord as well. Braiding motor wires adds resistance via EMF and length and weight, making them bad overall to do. Just use race wire or run the wires to the side of the arm. John, the additional length, so braiding wires adds length. That's true, right? Obviously. It adds resistance. A longer wire has more resistance. In my opinion, the resistance of the wires is extremely negligible. I mean, I don't know, we could do the math on how much voltage drop you get, but I bet it's not very much. Now, if you double the length of the wire, you double the resistance, you double the, you double the voltage drop? I think you double the voltage drop. So, I mean, it's not nothing. It adds weight, and I actually think the weight adds up. So I don't braid motor wires, and I agree with you that braiding motor wires is dumb. I mean, people do it because it looks nice. As related to the electromagnetic sort of effect of them being twisted, I'm not sure. If you run them side by side, you should have the same effect as braiding them. In fact, braiding them seems like it might actually have less inductive coupling between the wires, since they don't run directly parallel. Like a capacitor, can't you generalize a capacitor as a very long length of wire parallel to itself? I'm at the edge of my knowledge here. I agree. Just in terms of weight, don't braid your wires. Resistance over the difference between a 2 centimeter and a 4 centimeter length of wire, or an 8 centimeter and a 15 centimeter length of wire, 20 gauge wire. I don't think the difference in resistance there is at all noticeable in flight, and would be difficult to even notice on a meter, although it would be there. I think the weight, yeah. Exactly, yeah. So braiding or twisting should reduce noise in the wires, but think about it. Exactly. The reason that twisting reduces external interference is because it causes them to run parallel to each other. Think about it. If you run your motor wires straight, they are parallel to each other throughout their entire length. There is no benefit to twisting them if they run parallel to each other throughout their entire length. Now, for random wires flapping around the inside of your quad, that's why we twist them, because they're flapping around and you want to keep them parallel to each other. But for motor wires, which are taped down in parallel, twisting them has no advantage in terms of EMF. And the voltage and the current of the motors is, in my opinion, so high that external EMF is not likely to cause any problem with it. That's a guess. Okay. Ewan Gwyn, welcome to the channel. Very glad you're happy, enjoying the channel and enjoying the content. Here comes the drone. Thank you for a $5 super chat. I know you're a freestyle guy. Do you have any recommendations for a 5-inch frame for cine stuff? flight time and low resonance while carrying a GoPro Hero 10 over durability. 5-inch frame for cine stuff. So the question is, do you need prop guards? Because any freestyle frame is going to do fine if you don't need prop guards. Just get any freestyle frame, hopefully with props out of view, and have at it. If you need prop guards, does Bob Ruge have a 5-inch? Does he have a 5-inch? I know he has the Cinesplore. Is the Cinesplore? It's a 3-inch. Dang. Does he have prop guards for the Glide? Oh, here's the Cineglide 5-inch. There you go. Check out the Oh, you can't see anything. Check out the Cineglide 5-inch. There you go. Check out the Cineglide 5-inch. See if you like that. Bannister Post, thanks for a $7 Canadian super chat. Newer ESCs with an F4 and 128K coming out and by RPM. What's more important? An ESC that could go low RPM, high, has an F4. What ESC would you recommend? I think if you have to pick one spec, I would take a 16 to 48 ESC over like a 48 to 96. As I documented in a video I posted on my channel, on a 5-inch quad, you're not going to go if you use by RPM, you're not going to go much over 40, 42K anyway. So a 16 to 48 is going to be fine. The main advantage of the ultra high is if you're running higher RPM motors on smaller props and you need to go to a higher PWM frequency, or if you just want high PWM frequency for maximum smoothness. As far as ESCs that I'd recommend, I'm very happy to refer you to my website, the Ultimate FPV Shopping List. The URL is fpvknowitall.com. And I have recommended ESCs and flight controllers. I'm happy to tell you guys, one of the questions people always ask when I show this is, how often do you update this? I am really happy to tell you guys, we are now 2 weeks into a weekly meeting I've been having with some really helpful and smart people where we have been working. Look at all these edits we've been making. Look at all these edits we've been making. And we're going to keep having weekly meetings until we catch up the page to the point. Well, we may just keep having them, because every week we go through the list and we look at products that are out of stock or discontinued, and we pull old products that maybe don't need to be here anymore, and we look for new products that are coming out to add. And it feels so good. Hey, Ciati's here. He's one of those guys. It would feel so good to really be like keeping up with it in a way that we always try to keep up with it, but still. Really good, really good. Thanks to Ciati. David Wallace is a guy, he does marketing and web stuff for me, and he is instrumental. And Ira Toft, who some of you may see in the chat sometimes, has built some tools to help us to find stuff that's out of stock and so forth. So, Terminal Insanity. I'm hesitant to add an updated on notice. And here's why I say that, Terminal Insanity. Let's say I've got, like, if you look at the tools page, hang on. If you look at the tools page, some of these tools have been on this page, like, literally since I made the page. Literally since day one. Like this Innova multimeter. It's been here literally since, this is one of the first products I ever reviewed in my life. So if you were to look at this and see that this was added to the page 6 years ago, you might think, oh, this is out of date. No, it's just still a great product, still available. It's still the Look, I purchased the damn thing 4 times. Why did I purchase this 4 times? I can't imagine why I have 4 of these, but I do. So I feel like putting dates on it. And the other thing is, well, you say, well, why not just put an updated on date for the page as a whole? Okay. So I add one item. Like recently, we just added this Dremel tool. Okay, so now the page was updated yesterday. Yeah, but this thing is, you know, it doesn't really tell you anything useful. So I resist the desire to have an updated date on here. Because some stuff is old, but still good. And stuff's, you know, that's what I would say. It's a good suggestion, but I don't like it. Whiteout FPV says you should look at the Pinasil iron. You mean this one? You mean this one? Yeah. I am looking at it. This thing impressed the shit out of me so far. Impressed the shit out of me so far. Thank you, Noid FPV, for a $2 super chat. No question, just gratitude for what you do. Thank you, Noid FPV. Devin Spittle, thank you for a $5 Canadian super chat. My first build, the Hydrophobe 6S, Cricket 200 flight controller, 1750 kV motor, 1200 milliamp hour, 6S battery, Commando 8 Express LRS, MIN over my head. Are you in over your head? I don't know. How good can you swim? If you're going to do your first build by yourself without like some kind of build guide or tutorial, I think you're going to have a lot of room to make mistakes. More power to you. God bless you. It would be great if you had someone nearby to ask questions. And of course, you're welcome to ask me, but having someone there in the room with you is very helpful. Phantom FPV, thank you. Good to see you, sir. Hope you're doing well. MFR FPV, thanks for a $10 super chat. Thanking me for the in-depth discussion we had a little bit earlier. Cheeselord TV, thanks for a $5 super chat. I want to build a drone for mostly freestyle, but I'm not going to put a GoPro or anything on it. Is it worth trying out 4-inch or should I go with 5-inch? I would just go with 5-inch. I mean, 4-inch is fun, but there's a 5-inch is going to be... A 5-inch without a GoPro on it is going to fly amazing. So just go 5-inch. Chris Spalding, thanks for a $5 super chat. Longish question posted on Discord. But what's your username? Oh, there we go. Got it. Chris Spalding wants to know. Got some ghost and receiver related questions. Aroma F4 LR with receiver on top of the Vista. I fried one receiver on my desk trying to figure out Betaflight. I assume from heat from the Vista? No. I don't think that's why it fried. That seems very unlikely. They can get pretty hot, and I don't think that's it. Since then, I have had fail-safes on normal at 300 meters while still having flyable video. Yeah, that's unusual. Swapped antennas, receivers, UARTs. I can't see LQ and DJI, but RSSI starts around 68, 20 feet away, and drops to about... drops to about 14? Do you mean 140? Oh, you're talking about percent. That doesn't mean anything to me. Is being taped to the Vista overheating the receiver? I mean, I guess that's plausible enough that you should try moving it. But I also am surprised you're getting fail-safes at that range. Why is it? Yeah. I mean, you say you've replaced the receivers. I've mounted Ghost receivers on top of Vista VTXs with no problem. So I don't think that it's heat is the issue. But I'm hard-pressed to say what the issue is. Could you have a defective Ghost module? I mean, we can't rule that out. If you're in normal mode, you should be able to see LQ in the module. Flip the module around and look at it. and see what your LQ and your RSSI is. Up close, like 2 feet away, your RSSI should be in the range of about -20 to -35. If it's not, then you have an antenna problem potentially. That's a direction you can go. Why isn't it more common to use circular polarized antennas for RC link like it is with video link? The main reason people use circular polarized is to avoid multipath interference. I don't know for sure. Like, nobody does it, though, do they? I think that with video transmissions, multipath interference causes visible distortion in a way that's really negative. My guess is that the way we transmit control signals, the type of modulation we use, is not affected by multipath in exactly the same way. And the other thing to keep in mind is that those control signals are much simpler than a video signal. So they can also be sort of more durable, more resistant to interference without getting corrupted. Circular antennas are larger and heavier. And my guess is that we would get a benefit from circular antennas if we were to use them, but our links are already good enough without using circular antennas, so we don't want the increased weight and size of the antennas. That's what I would say. Bresk in the Discord wants to know, having trouble with twitchy motors. Connecting a smoke stopper, the smoke stopper goes off. Yeah, the smoke stopper is going off because the smoke stopper is going off because the power surge from the Vista is enough to trip the smoke stopper. So he says, I disconnect the Vista and I can power up. Yeah, remember, current flow makes the smoke stopper go off. And the current flow could be from a short circuit, but anything that draws current will trip the smoke stopper. So what you've got is that when you first plug in, the power surge that happens when you first plug in the Vista, the motor's beeping, all that stuff trips the smoke stopper. When you unplug the Vista, the current flow is below that threshold and everything powers up and settles down, and then you can plug the Vista in and it's fine. What you need to do is your smoke stopper should, if your smoke stopper has an adjustable output power, like 1 amp versus 2 amp, you should change it to 2 amps. But that's not a problem. That's just how a smoke stopper works. Now, Bresk, as far as the twitchy motors, that doesn't seem related to the smoke stopper at all. So I don't know what's up with your twitchy motors. Yeah. So you probably got a smoke stopper that has a 1 amp limit. And the motor beeps and the Vista and all that stuff is enough to trip it. The V-Fly smoke stoppers have an adjustable limit. You can push a button and change the limit. And you can change it to 2 amps. And that, for me, is enough. For most situations. Thank you, King Poopra, for a $20 super chat. Appreciate that. No question, just a super chat. Really appreciate your generosity. Jekli, thank you for a €5 super chat. I've got a quad running different configurations, different weights. Should I use different tunes or should I just tune for the heaviest setup? Honestly, what I always do is I tune for the heaviest setup. No. If I really care, I tune for the lightest setup. Because the lightest setup is going to be the one where you have the gains the highest. And then when I have a GoPro on the quad, then it dampens the tune and it's not quite as sharp, but everything is fine. If you tune with the GoPro on and a big heavy battery, you're going to crank the PID gains up. And then when you take all that stuff off, the quad could end up with excessive oscillation and bounce back because the gains are too high. So if you're not tuning like to the edge, it may not matter. Like a lot of people tune their quad with the GoPro on, then they take the GoPro off, it still flies fine. If anything, it flies better because you didn't tune it like to the raw edge of performance. But if you tune to the edge, then when you take the GoPro off and go to a smaller battery and you lighten up the quad, it's going to have flight problems. Anti-Gravity82 asks, thank you for a €5 super chat. What can the community do to get DJI canvas mode? Nothing. Asking questions in DJI forums, writing emails, what else? If there's no demand, DJI doesn't care. I mean, keep asking. Go ahead. It can't hurt. And sometimes what happens with DJI, in my opinion, is that it's just such a big company that the right person, you're like, how could they not know that we want this feature? Just the right person hasn't heard. But I can tell you that there have been meetings with people at DJI who are the ones who, like, DJI back when the system first came out, people from DJI sat down with me. I had a conference call once with like 5 people from DJI, and they were like, what do you think about this product? What do you want from this product? We have had those meetings, and we have told them the things we want. Some of them we got. Some of them we didn't. And at this point, I would be shocked to find out that significant development effort is being put into the FPV system firmware. I would love to be wrong about that. I would love to be wrong, but I think that there is no reason to believe that they are looking at a list of feature requests for the DJI FPV system and thinking about which ones we want them to work on. If they're working on the DJI FPV system, it is based on their product roadmap, which we don't know anything about. And, you know, all that being said, there is a chance that next week they'll be like, hey, here's canvas mode. Because that's how DJI is. Like, one day they just were like, hey guys, listen, we're basically, you haven't released an update for this product in forever. Here's a bug fix. Oh, and by the way, here's 50 megabit per second mode. And we were like, what? So they just like crapped out 50 megabit per second mode. Thank you. So they could do that with canvas mode tomorrow, and I'd be happy. But I don't see any reason to like think that we have any control over whether that happens, because we've told them in many different ways. And a forum post asking for canvas mode, that's not gonna, where's that gonna go? Some moderator is gonna where's that, how is that gonna actually get in the mind of a product manager who makes decisions about the development roadmap? It's not. So, people like Madstech, like Ian, who have actual connections at DJI, have said, we want this, and explain to them what it is. Other people I know behind the scenes who work with DJI in the context of manufacturing quadcopters have told them that this is a thing we want. Your forum post is probably not going to be the thing that tips them over. So cross your fingers and hope, but also don't hold your breath. Okay. Oh, we got 7 minutes left in the live stream. Ciati is going to be streaming at 3 o'clock. So if you're loving the live stream, head on over in about 7 minutes. Head on over to his stream. He'll start posting a link here so you know where to go. We're going to keep going here. We got more super chats. Hectectica, thank you for a $5 super chat. I installed BLHeli 32.8.3 on the Diatone 60 amp ESC. Set ESC PWM high to buy RPM. On throttle up, the quad spun like mad and fried the flight controller. You had a motor direction wrong. When you updated to BLHeli 32.8.3, you forgot to go back and fix your motor direction. The quad freaked out when you armed, as it would, and somehow that resulted in the flight controller frying. That's my guess. Bob Griffith, thank you for a $5 super chat. Thank you for being here, Bob. Appreciate the donation. Creative Solutions Digital Marketing, thank you for $17, 17 HRK. Nodschool V2 or Evoke? Nodschool is cheaper, Evoke flies better. There you go. Paul Weinberg, thanks for $20 super chat. A bind and fly for my first FPV setup, or would you recommend building? I'm comfortable soldering, just not sure which route to take. Paul, if you're going to end up building eventually, because you will end up repairing your bind and fly. The advantage of a bind and fly is it gets you in the air faster. When it breaks, you only have to fix the one thing that broke. However, if you aren't afraid to solder, I would say start with building, because it gets you learning how to build, and that's a skill you will need. Yeah. All right. We're caught up on super chats. We're 5 minutes to the end of the stream. Amazing. Amazing. Thank you guys so much for being here. For spending these 2 hours with me on this cold, cold freaking day. Mulligan FPV, do you know what the target is for the Cricket F7? I can't find it in Betaflight when I go to Flash. Yes, I ran into this same issue when I did my Cinema build, which also had the Cricket. But isn't it just Cricket? Here it is. Newbie Drone Cricket F7. That's the one I used, and it seemed to work. That's a 4.3 target. If you have 4.2, you have to download the hex file from the Newbie Drone product page. I don't think they've published it. But guys, download Configurator 10.8.0 and Flash 4.3 and enjoy. It's cold. Yeah, it's below freezing here. Here in Knoxville, it's below freezing today. Thank you guys for your generosity in the super chats. Paris Delaney says, when doing snappy rolls, my beeper momentarily beeps and I get oscillations. Do you know why? Is it my gyro? I'm going to guess that it is battery sag. Your beeper is beeping because your voltage has sagged below 3.5 volts. And the beeper tells you when your voltage is low. Alrighty. Alrighty, guys. We are going to finish up. Possibly, if you keep an eye on your YouTube notifications, I might stream Elden Ring again later today. I'm not going to do it right this minute, but no promises. But if you enjoyed my Elden Ring stream, a gaming stream, just a little fun thing I did last week, perhaps I'll do that again this afternoon. Don't know for sure. But it would be fun. And it's not like I'm going to go outside because it's cold out there. So we're going to wrap up here. Siati, have a great stream. Everybody head on over to Siati's stream. Patrons, thank you for being here in the Discord server and for your support. Chat, thank you for being here. Super chats, thank you for being here. I'll see you guys throughout the week. Best of luck to all of you.